Now then everyone, today is quite an occasion. We've just come to check out Tom's build. We've been following this for, God, how many years now, Tom? 2.5 years. Obviously we didn't document a lot of it. Tom's been extremely busy and put hundreds of hours of work into this thing. And obviously looking at it, the end result is amazing, but what you have to consider is Tom has done all of this himself. The bodywork, the painting, the carbon fibre work, the fabrication, the mechanical work. There's very few things that he hasn't done on this car, so I think we definitely need to take our hats off for Tom. And I'm going to pass you over to him and he's going to explain some of what he's done and some of the details about the car.
Briefly, it's my 1981 Datsun 1200 pickup, otherwise known as Nissan Sunny pickup. Changed the front end to a Hakosuka kit from Carbon Signal. I've K24 swapped it and it's running S13 front and rear based suspension with a lot of custom bits in between. So as I said, it's a K24 engine. It's running the K20 head with some Skunk 2 stage 3 cams, super tech, dual springs, the titanium retainers. So the head's fully built, it's ported and polished, but it's on a stock bottom end. And with that setup, it made 262 horsepower and 200 foot-pounds on quite a harsh dyno. So most dynos, it'll probably make 280, 290 horsepower. On the back of the engine, it's an RX-8 6-speed, which I've adapted using an adapter plate off eBay, which needed quite a lot of work to get going. So I ended up actually remaking that adapter plate and then designing my own concentric slave cylinder kit for that to make it work. And then going back from that, it's just a custom prop shaft into the S13 rear diff. It's an S13 rear subframe with the diff and axles, but it was narrowed by around 150mm to match the track width of the Sunny pickup. This also helped bring the Ackerman back in line with the front end, which is also S13, but obviously with the wheelbase being shorter, we needed the track width in as well to get the Ackerman to line up. So the axles have been narrowed and friction welded back together, so they should be as strong as a OEM axle, but short enough to fit within the subframe. And then I had the issue of making coilovers work. So the stock S13 coilovers would need a strut top, and with it being a pickup, it would look pretty odd having strut tops in the back of the pickup bed. So that's when I went with the idea of going with pushrod. So I'm quite into my design work. I've done it as a job and I've learned a lot through university. So I just basically modelled up the rear end, the roll cage I'd made, and then designed a pushrod system to fit within that. And it was quite simple to just have most of that laser cut, weld it together and fit it to the truck. So there's now quite a bit of sort of what people call forged carbon on the truck. So it's basically like a chopped strand carbon. And that started off with the wing mirrors I've got. So I've got some genuine Hakosuka wing mirrors, but with them being like 60 years old, they were quite pitted with the chrome, so I thought I'll have a go at skinning them in carbon. And I thought, well, I can't just leave them being the only carbon thing on the car, so as well as wanting to make a mould of my front lip in case I smashed it on B roads, I thought I might as well make moulds of all my arches as well. So all the arches, the front splitter, and also a few interior bits are now in that same sort of forged carbon. It probably looks small on video, but it's even smaller in person. I'm only 5'6", and it's pretty much too small for me on the inside. I can just about get away with driving it comfortably. Originally it came with a bench seat, which probably helped quite a bit, but now I've got the Sparkle bucket seats in there, and it sort of pushes you further down, and your knees are at quite an angle to fit in. As well as refreshing everything else on the truck, I didn't really want to reuse the original wiring loom. It had already been hacked up quite a bit for its previous stereo system or whatever it had in the truck. So I started off with a kit car harness and basically made that suit the rest of the car. And that's all hidden underneath a false floor on the passenger side. And that also helped me make room for the exhaust, which runs down the passenger side as well. So the interior, I like quite a minimalist look when it comes to the interior, so pretty much everything's black. Sort of recarpeted it, remade the door cards and the kick panels, and then just refurbished the original dash, which I've also got my brake and clutch fluid reservoirs in. On that dash I've also got an AIM digital dash, which displays everything I need to see for the car and the sort of the vitals for the engine. Underneath the dash I've got a Corsa electric power steering rack, which wasn't my original plan, but after the first sort of test drive in the car I realised how heavy the steering was, running a bit more of a modern caster setting and also with the heavier engine and the sticky 888R tyres. So on top of that I've also grafted in the MX-5 switches, just because the original indicators were all push-pull buttons on the dash, so again just getting the car a little bit more modern and friendly to use. Other than that, I've got a custom centre console which has the stereo, USB charger, as well as the switches for my electric demister and the interior lighting. Another important feature, cup holders. So I've got 2 cup holders which fit me monster cans perfectly, and they're just in front of the custom short shifter I made for the RX-8 box. So that's one of the things I'm probably most proud of on the car. It's really nice to shift. It's a spherical bearing and a bronze bush, so there's basically no play in it, and it's just really nice and precise. Other than that, suede Nardi wheel, Sparco bucket seats. There's not much else to see in there, just nice and simple.
So obviously this video only really scratches the surface of this thing, because you could stand and talk about it for hours because the detail is mind-blowing really. And Tom's obviously very modest about some of the stuff that he's achieved whilst doing this, so he's not sort of bigging himself up like some people on YouTube do. But if you'd like to see sort of a more in-depth walk-around video, we did film one prior to the car being finished, and it was sort of at 90% complete at the time, but you can see a lot more of the detail of the underside of the car and the suspension, the engine bay, etc. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.